Professor Peter Baofu. He is an American visionary and author of so many books and articles, 179 of them. Mostly his work is characterized by challenging the conventional wisdom, and he's traveled in so many countries in Africa and of course across outside Africa. He is the person that I have in my program speak out today, and we'll talk about different issues that are affecting Malawi, Africa, and globe at large. And we'll be talking about different issues in our program today in the Speak Out. Welcome to the program, Professor.
Thank you for inviting me.
I don't know if my short introduction has done it all, but maybe you can elaborate more about your background. Who are you and what have you done in terms of your academics, in terms of your professionalism?
As you have said eloquently, I am an American visionary and author of 179 books and many other articles in all fields of knowledge in relation to the mind, nature, society, and culture, which means that I have written in all fields of knowledge, the social sciences, the natural sciences, the humanities, and the formal sciences, ultimately for some unified theories of everything. And I have been in more than 132 different countries by now as part of my global tour. And by the end of this project, I should be in more than 150 or 60 or 70. That means that's not much for me to go. And I do this because I want to understand humanity on the ground, not just by reading a book in a library, which is very easy for me to do, but it doesn't give me any face-to-face interaction with people and societies on Earth. And I do that because I want to provide some realistic solution to global problems affecting all humanity, not just one culture, one society, and one history. And I have provided so far more than 145 different new visions and theories of the human future. And in that regard, I have been interviewed all over the world about my visions and my solution to global problems. So that's just a very short summary about what you said, but in a very elaborate way.
I think that's a long one as well, but thank you very much for your time, and welcome to Malawi.
Okay, thank you.
We want to talk about different issues, as I said, and we will engage you. Let me just tell my viewers and my listeners that the thoughts that will be said in this program are not necessarily those of MBC or the producer, but they are the thoughts of Professor Baofu. Some of the things that he will say in the program might be sensitive, but I think he will talk about hard teachings in this program that I want you to brace, and I want you to understand whatever point that he will say. As I said, they don't in any way represent his views, don't in any way represent the views of MBC, but I want to tap knowledge from him, tap wisdom from him. Let me finally come to the final area of our discussion today, and that's political division. Africa or Malawi, and many countries in Africa or across the world have been affected, their development has been affected by political divisions. Me, I belong to this political party. I can't work with this man, I can't work with those people in that particular political party. How do you think it is affecting the development of a country? And of course, also considering issues of sabotages, because there might be a political A which was in power then, and now you don't want this government to continue delivering, so you sabotage it. How do we balance the two?
This issue is also related to tribalism, but I'm not going to talk about that again because we spoke about that already. So let's talk about political division in a different way, in another dimension. This has something to do with the political ideology of liberal democratic institution. The political institution that you are working on right now and trying to develop that, you have to understand the colonial history that you have, and the multi-party political system that you have is based on a notion of liberal democratic idealism. in which people have an election and they have different political parties, and each party is going to campaign for whatever they say that people could do, and whoever party is going to win, and you are going to form the national government and all that. So that kind of political system is good and bad. On the other hand, it's good in the sense that you provide certain legitimacy to the whoever come into power. It's not that you have a military coup and you come in, you by force, you overthrow the government. So now at least people have some say to vote for you or vote for me or vote for someone else. So it can give you some kind of political legitimacy. The problem, however, is just like everything is like, the other side is part of the major problem confronting African political system, and also for the matter of many other political systems on earth, is that you have political divisionism, because one major drawback of a liberal democratic political system is that politicians are very corrupt. Politicians don't care about national unity, most of them. They care only about the interests of their political election, of the political party. When they campaign, they will talk about all this kind of rhetoric to make you feel good. But when they come into office, they only do things to benefit their own people, their own political party, their own vision, their own agenda. In political science, we talk about the polarization of political society. In America, that's a good example. The Democratic Party and the Republican Party, now you have a major polarization of American political society. You have MAGA on the one hand, you have Antifa on the other hand. One is on the far left, the other one is on the far right. And they polarize American society to the point that some people say the American political system is broken. Politicians are so corrupt. They come in, they campaign, vote for me, I'm going to do this, this, and this, and this. When they come in, things will go back to normality again. The kind of political process is not driven by national unity. It's driven my party versus your party, my agenda versus your agenda. We compete. And the illusion of the political ideology is to say if we compete, it's good for the society, because when you compete, you bring the best out of you. And you bring the best out of you, I bring the best out of me. We compete, then we produce more that way. If I cooperate with you, I collude with you. There's corruption too. And we should not do that. I'm not saying that's true. There's ideology. Understand me? They are driven by the ideology, but in the process, the society becomes so polarized. People talk about national unity, but they don't care about national unity. The politicians become so corrupt. It's just rhetoric. And over time, they do the same thing again for their own people for power. And the problem continues. The substance of the system is not changed, only the surface. And that's why you have this kind of problem. This is a major problem. So what should you do about it? That is why in some countries, like in Rwanda, your neighbor, is choosing another one. They choose a political system which suppresses all this kind of political divisionism and national unity. But the problem is that, you see, now when you go to this side, the problem is that you suppress the opposition, you are also like a dictator too. You say, so which one do you choose? You choose one which is will come in and try to govern, centralize everything, or do you want to come in and you allow the other one, but then you cannot allow too much political opposition? So multi-party system, it sounds very nice, but in reality, it's very, very inefficient. They celebrate polarization. They celebrate political infighting. They seldom talk about political unity, solidarity, common good. They don't talk like that.
What is our duty as people? Now, without necessarily, you said do not blame people, but what is my duty as a citizen of this country?
Your citizen as a country is based on your political ideology. And see, citizenship is not an empty slogan. The notion of citizenship is based on a conception of political participation, political identity, political ideology, political belief. Even in the case of citizenship, people disagree about what you need to do as a citizen. Yeah. Some people are very active in politics. Some people say, I don't care too much about politics, that's not my job. Some people are very conscientious. Some people are not. Some people, if they see someone, they go out to protest right away, and they ask the neighbor, go together. Some people say, well, I'm too busy with my job, why do you go and do it, and I just maybe support you later. You have different divisions. So again, apples and oranges, like the example about work ethics, the black versus Chinese, Japanese, and tribalism, the national Pan-Africanism versus tribalism. I'm not saying which one is good. That's based on your political beliefs and values, again, in this case, and your ethical concerns.
Pleasure having you in the studio.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
That's Professor Peter Baofu, my guest. And we have had a very candid conversation here, and I hope you've gotten 2 or 3 things from this conversation. My name is Emmanuel Thuwala. I've been your presenter in the Speak Out. Goodbye for now.